U.S. police have pepper-sprayed people in Washington, D.C. who staged a demonstration against Donald Trump's inauguration and presidency.
Get back! Back up! Back up! You can't!
The protest took place outside the venue of the ceremony organized by Trump supporters. The demonstrators then rallied in other streets chanting slogans against the president-elect. They were outraged over Trump's rhetoric on women, people of color, and immigrants. Security is already beefed up in Washington, D.C., with thousands of security personnel deployed there before the swearing-in ceremony begins later in the day. Meanwhile, a similar protest was held in New York City with Mayor Bill de Blasio urging Americans to protect their rights against Trump.
Well, now it's time for us to build our movement. And that starts tonight, and it's all over the country. Tonight, tomorrow, in the days to come, a movement building to protect all the gains we've made and protect the rights of our people.
Several A-list celebrities, including Oscar-winning director Michael Moore, made scathing speeches against Trump. More protests are expected to take place before Trump is officially sworn in. He is said to be the least popular U.S. president ever to enter the White House. His coming to office and his election contention with fellow Republican nominees and later Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton involved a lot of controversy. Worries are high over his anti-establishment policies that could put the U.S. at risk. Anti-war activist Ty Berry says that Donald Trump has been forced on the American nation by the failed two-party system, and that's why people protest to call him illegitimate.
There will be massive demonstrations tomorrow. This is not the president that the people wanted. This is a president that was forced on us by an illegitimate system that we have going here in the United States. This two-party system that's failed us over and over and over, and the people are tired of it. We've come to the realization that both the Democrat and Republican parties are not going to be the ones that are going to help us. We're going to have to help ourselves. There's a small group of people that want to give this so-called president a chance, and they're looking for change. I understand people would want something different because the two-party system has failed them. But this abomination of a president is, people just can't deal with this. This is going to be either this country is going to turn to complete military state where the police and military are stifling our ability to protest, or there is going to be continuous mass protest against this president and his policies.
U.S. President Barack Obama's 8-year term in office is coming to an end. While Obama has defended his decisions as the head of state, Russia has described Obama's presidency as being, quote, shameful. This report sheds further light on some foreign policies of the Obama administration and its impact on global security.
Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, in early January, in a series of Twitter messages, laid out his legacy, defending his actions as a head of state. Obama's tweet storm came as his successor, Donald Trump, has pledged to immediately repeal a lot of regulations and steps that have been taken by the Obama administration. And amongst such promises is the improvement of U.S. ties with Russia, whose government has described as shameful the presidency of Obama.
The behavior of the Obama administration looks so ridiculous and so shameful for such a great country as the United States. It's difficult to associate these convulsive actions with the position of the American people in general. We sincerely regret that the presidency of Barack Obama, especially his second term, was a period of missed opportunities for bilateral relations.
A soured U.S.-Russia relation, however, is not the only outcome of Obama's foreign policy. While candidate Obama came to office with a promise of ending George W. Bush's wars in the Middle East, he is leaving the office having been at war longer than any president in the U.S. history. Obama did reduce the number of U.S. soldiers fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq, but dramatically expanded the U.S. air wars. According to U.S. Defense Department's fixed bombs also rained down on people in Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia and Pakistan. That's 7 majority Muslim countries. Obama also authorized over 10 times more drone strikes than George W. Bush. The U.S. airstrikes have caused many civilian casualties in the target countries. Such casualties among civilians have not come as a surprise to many people, including some U.S. politicians, given the Obama administration's support for terrorist groups. The Obama administration also signed a multi-billion-dollar arms deal with Saudi Arabia, whose war on Yemen has killed over 11,400 people, mostly civilians. While Obama stands up for his decisions, terrorism has spread and the Middle East is plagued by more chaos and divisions than when Barack Obama first took office.
U.S. intelligence agencies have published a new report of civilian casualties caused by U.S. forces during Barack Obama's presidency. The report says as many as 117 civilians have been killed in the country's drone and other counter-terror attacks in Pakistan, Yemen and other countries. This is the second report on civilian deaths in response to the mounting public pressure for more information about such operations overseas. However, independent organizations say the U.S. administration undercut civilian casualties. They say they've recorded between 380 and 800 civilian casualties caused by U.S. strikes. The U.S. military, along with the CIA, conduct strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia and Libya. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization says the destruction of Syria's ancient city of Palmyra by Daesh terrorists amounts to war crime. UNESCO Director General Irina Bokova has described the destruction as an immense loss for the Syrian people and for humanity. She made the statement following reports that Daesh destroyed Palmyra's tetrapylon monument and the facade of the city's Roman amphitheater. UNESCO also conducted an emergency mission in Syria's Aleppo this week to assess the damage at the World Heritage Sites there. The agency reported extensive damage to the Great Umayyad Mosque, the Citadel, and other historic buildings in the war-ravaged city. According to UNESCO, 60% of the old city of Aleppo has been severely damaged, with 30% totally destroyed. Turkey says it can no longer insist on Syrian President Bashar al-Assad leaving office as a precondition for resolving the Syria crisis. The announcement was made by Turkey's Deputy Prime Minister Mehmet Şimşek. He said that the situation on the ground has changed dramatically in Syria and that Ankara needs to be pragmatic and realistic. Şimşek, however, blamed the dire situation in Syria on Assad. This is seen by many as a policy shift by Turkey regarding the Syria crisis. The Turkish government previously demanded Assad step down, describing his removal from power as the only solution to the conflict, which has ravaged Syria since 2011. A deadline for Gambia's Yahya Jammeh to step down has expired. The Jammeh was given until noon on Friday to relinquish power, be forced out of West African countries' ECOWAS forces. The UN-backed troops led by Senegal are standing by until African leaders' talks with Jammeh end before beginning military operations. On Thursday, the UN Security Council held an urgent meeting and voted for a resolution backing ECOWAS's military intervention. Jammeh, whose term ended on January the 19th after 22 years in power, lost December's election to rival Adama Barrow, but refused to step down. Barrow was sworn into office at the Gambia's embassy in neighboring Senegal.
The political crisis in the Gambia has taken a turn for the worse after Adama Barrow was sworn in as the new president of the West African nation. Barrow took the oath of office at the Gambian embassy in neighboring Senegal. This comes as President Yahya Jammeh still refuses to step down. Jammeh's loyalists say he will stay at the presidential palace in the capital Banjul, warning that if the West African Regional Force is going to arrest him, they will face fierce resistance. Wednesday was meant to be Jammeh's last day in office, but the Gambian parliament granted him 3 more months in the post, a move that was strongly criticized by the UN Security Council.
Members of the Council have expressed serious concern over the extension for 3 months by the Parliament of the mandate of the President Jammeh. They have denounced the arrest of several military officers and called for the cessation of such acts.
Jammeh lost the presidential election to opposition leader Adama Barrow on December the 1st. He first considered defeat, but later rejected the vote result, saying there were irregularities in the election process. Jammeh claimed that the alleged irregularities included the turning away of some of his supporters from polling stations and errors made by the Electoral Commission. The Gambian Election Commission admitted that some of the results it initially published contained errors, but said Barrow had still won. However, Jammeh has said he will stay in office until new elections are held. Analysts maintain the Gambian people voted for change and the president must respect their vote.
They have always asked for change. They think this is an opportunity for change. They think that they had free and fair elections. They think that their man, Adama Barrow, was the one that came trumped and, of course, was ultimately congratulated by Mr. Yahya Jammeh.
Gambia has had only 2 rulers after independence in 1965. Jammeh seized power in a coup in 1994, and his government is notorious among ordinary Gambians and human rights activists for torturing and killing opponents. With the West African country in a state of political uncertainty, and as the political crisis appears to be coming to a head, the next few days will be decisive for the Gambia, with foreign forces deployed along borders to intervene in favor of the winner of the December election, Adama Barrow.
Well, there's that breaking news coming in for you. According to reports coming out of Iraq, the forces there have liberated another neighborhood in eastern Mosul. This as the Iraqi forces, backed by the popular mobilization units, continue with their offensive to retake the city of Mosul, the last bastion of the Daesh terrorists in Iraq. And earlier just today, they managed to liberate a pharmaceutical factory there in Mosul, and now another neighborhood has been liberated from Daesh terrorists by the